Let's go.
Hey, Aaron, I'm so excited that you're here. I really appreciate your time because every time you and I sit down and talk, it's valuable. And there's so much interesting stuff going on. And I know the stuff we're going to talk about today is a little bit, they don't necessarily seem associated with each other, but it's all about the real estate market and kind of what's true and what's happening and how to get around some of the noise.
100%, Leslie. I love coming on with you. We're the dynamic duo.
Absolutely.
Getting a lot of views because I think we have some good information that we talk about regarding the market, buying and selling and financing and all that good stuff. And these little tidbits help people out. So I definitely encourage people to watch.
Thank you. Yeah. And I feel like we spend all of our time studying this stuff, and I end up in conversations with people. And one of the recent one that's crawled up my backside, and it really has, is the foreclosure thing. Our local news did this very scary story on how Florida tops in foreclosures, and then Jacksonville itself is the top city for foreclosures in the country. And the thing that got me about that is while that is a factual statement, it is so out of context.
Right.
And I made the point, and you and I had talked about this, that in 2018, I think we can go back and go, yep, 2018, that was a pretty solid like that. That's how
Pre-COVID.
good
Yep.
work. It never does, but we got a couple of years of that in there, and that was really nice for those of us that were selling real estate back then. Um, if you look, they were saying that St. Johns County has gone up 20% year over year in foreclosures, and that's true, but they are half of what they were back then.
It's you are the queen of statistics. You've been running it for a long time, running that play. And man, it is so enlightening when you really look at the numbers. Like we
Yeah.
all know the news drives us to instant reaction of scared or whatever, fearful, hateful or whatever. But I'm really glad you dug into this because it's not even close to bad when you compare it to prior years.
News. Yeah. We are half of what we were back in a really decent year. And in Duval County, we're a little more closer to even. Okay. And these are the filings, not the ones that have actually, like successfully happened, because a lot of those won't even come to foreclosure. But we're
Right.
even. This is actually good news, but
Right.
it's being spun as really bad news. And
For
yeah,
sure.
nobody wants anyone to ever have to go into foreclosure. There's lots of reasons that people go into foreclosure. Sometimes it's strategic. Sometimes it's due to the death of like it's not a great thing, but there's always going to be some.
Right.
Or when
Well,
the
it
guys
is
still
it's a
apart.
great point. It's a natural part of the process, and because you have them does not mean that the market is bad. You just said it. It is a natural part of the process. If millions of people are buying houses across the country, there are going to be people that run into difficult times, irrespective of the housing market or the economy or whatever health, whatever the reason, and foreclosures happen. And you could also argue that there is a healthy number of foreclosures that it is needed to kind of cleanse the market and keep it going forward. So, really good points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did some posts on it because it just makes me so angry because it scares people. And there's nothing. Our market has been so steady on inventory this year, weirdly steady on inventory. It's not a booming market. It's just a steady, even market right now.
Yeah,
And that's not a bad thing. It's okay
right.
for us to take a breath and not have our children and our customers racing to the finish line because they're not going to be able to afford the same house in 6 months. Like
For
this is
sure.
pretty
It
decent.
really just boils down to the situation of the buyers we talk about. Yes, interest rates have been going, but let's take a look at the payment. Does the payment work for you? What's your situation? There's multiple reasons with that, but yeah, the facts behind it are so important.
Yeah.
And I talk to a lot of realtors every week, and Jacksonville is such a unique market in my eyes because there's so many different options with different areas that almost are cities within a city. And man, certain areas, I mean, there's backup contracts. I mean, I have several clients I'm working with that are losing out
Yeah.
on offers. And then I also have clients that are very difficult selling their house. But it also comes down to the market plays what it is. Like, okay, well, if you're not selling your house at your price, but your neighbors are selling at this price, you might want to take a look at the price because people are out there buying.
They
The
are.
buyers are there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, oh yeah, and I've got several under contract right now that listings that were, and I need to figure out how to talk about this because I have a weird way of handling off-market properties that is very effective. So I've got well, currently four. I've got a fifth one coming under contract right now that never hit the market. They're
It's
investment
awesome.
properties. But in 2 days, these things are under contract with multiple offers, multiple backups. It's like we have an active market.
I mean, I loved hearing that from you this week because that's exciting to me.
It
When
is.
you
It's
hear
fun.
that it's not even going to market, it's selling before market and multiple offers, you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody thinks it's a value here, and they're coming in. So
Right.
yeah, I completely agree. I think there's just a lot of good news to spout out there. And going back to the price of your house and listing it, that's why it's just so important to have a realtor and really listen to them when they're talking to you about what your house is worth. We've
Hmm.
all been there. Sometimes it may hurt a little bit. It's not as high as you think, but you just got to go down to your goals. Like, do you want to sell efficiently? That first offer is generally something you really need to pay attention to.
Well, you're
But I just think that makes a lot of sense.
yeah. But I mean, so that we know, so we've got a good market here, but people are still with the interest rates doing what they're doing and all, we're still looking at how you're going to pay for it. And there are markets where people are slower. We have our unique little situation, but I know there's people in other areas that are looking to move here that they're struggling to sell their homes. And there's things there's tools in the toolbox that not everybody knows about. And you are actually the guy that knows about them, which I love about
We've got tools. We've got tools, and we've got lots of money to give out. So, what's more exciting than that? So, there's a couple things that I want to talk about that come up a lot, and they're very simple concepts, but they come up a lot. Let's talk about recast. Okay. So, recast is basically, let's just say you have a loan of $500,000, and then you came into some money of 200,000 and you want to pay down that loan to $300,000. Well, you can prepay it, and that's not a problem, and your payment stays the same. Or you can prepay it and recast it to where your payment lowers to the new loan amount balance based on the rate that you already have. Generally, it's a couple $100 cost. You call your servicer that holds the loan now, and they just lower your loan amount and they redo your payment based on the years that are left in the loan. So this works really well for people that want to buy before they sell because, hey, as long as you can qualify, I buy the new house with a very minimum down payment. Later on, a month, 2 months, whatever, you sell your house and that $500,000 mortgage you needed to buy the new house, now you've got 300,000 in cash. You just do a recast and prepay it down, and then your payment goes down. So it's really a cool concept. Recast is the name. I'm assuming you probably heard that before, Leslie.
I have, and it's a really good tool for the right buyer, for the right customer. It's an amazing tool because they don't want that $500,000 payment, but they want that house. So that's a
Yeah.
temporary situation, and if they're in the financial position to make it happen, it, even if it's a little uncomfortable, it's a temporary uncomfortable.
For sure. And, we see it all the time, and it's a great tool. And, most people want to move into the new house before they sell the other one for the
So
logistics of
much
moving. Maybe
easier.
you want to do renovations, painting, all of that stuff. Now, you have to be able to afford it on paper. And then also mentally, you're good with it.
Right.
But
That's
it's
the
just
uncomfortable
a great
part.
option. Yeah, exactly. But it's a great option because, I mean, who doesn't want to move into your new house and maybe have a month or two to clean it up, do whatever you want, move your furniture in there? Man, it just makes moving so much easier.
Absolutely. So quick question though, how often, like what are the constraints around when you can do that? And could you do it a couple of times on a mortgage and things like that? What are the rules?
Yeah, there's really no constraints other than the type of mortgage. Now, the type of mortgage needs to be conventional. You
Okay.
can't do it on FHA or VA.
Ever?
But it needs to not recast. No,
Okay.
they don't offer that. I don't know why, but conventional you can. And yeah, you can do it a couple times. I don't know that there's any limitation. You just want to do it where it's a quote significant amount. Like if you're prepaying a couple $1,000s, you don't want to recast. Like 25, 50, 100. Yeah, maybe you want to do it and it's easy to go on and see what your payment would lower to recast. But yeah, it's just a great option. When you come into some money, whatever, if you're selling your house or you want to do something different, it's different than prepaying. Prepaying is great also, but your payment never changes. It just shortens your term.
I love that. I mean, that's such a fantastic tool. And then there's the one because, and we have run across this a couple of times in the last couple of months where we have retired people that, you can no longer just qualify normally on paper because you don't have a job anymore. And that's it, that income, but they're financially stable. These are not people in
Yeah,
dire straits. They are financially stable. They're just retired. They can't show that income. And there's other tools, and I know this one doesn't really necessarily benefit you. However, I mean, I firmly believe that educating and informing people always benefits you in some.
100%. I mean, I talk clients out of getting mortgages all the time because it's called a margin loan. And basically, you don't have to be retired. Say you've accumulated stocks, bonds, IRA, whatever, and you have a significant portfolio. Well, you go to your company, your Merrill Lynch, your Schwab, whatever, and they'll give you a loan based on those assets. So let's just say you had $1 million in the stock market. Generally, on margin loans, they'll give you up to 60% of the value. So they'll give you a loan for 600,000. There's little to no fees.
Because you're
The
not paying stamps, you're not paying the taxes. Your closing costs for a mortgage can be fairly significant. You don't have those. This is not a mortgage.
and then you become a cash buyer
Yeah.
also, and it's very easy and quick to do. Again, very little fees. Essentially, the interest that is owed on that, you can pay the interest, or they can roll it into your balance. So the balance keeps going up. 600 a little bit if you don't want to pay the interest, say you're going to sell a house or whatever, but it's a great way to temporarily get a loan. And I'm just always surprised about how many people don't know that their investment advisor hasn't told them, because it's in the best advisor's best interest too, because you're not liquidating the money that you have with them. You're just getting a loan on it. Generally, they're very excited to get that. So it's something I have. I personally used it many times. And it's something I tell people all the time when I see that they have significant assets on it. Hey, don't even bother with a mortgage. Just do that. It's quicker and easier and way less costs.
Yeah, that is amazing. And like I said, you and I, we've had a couple of situations here recently where that really was the better fit. Um,
Yes, for sure. It is an absolutely great option. It's called a margin loan. Throw that in Google. What is a margin loan? It'll come up and it'll kind of get the details that we just talked about. So, hey, we're giving out all kinds of tips today, Leslie. So we want these people to be informed.
Yeah, that is. I've gone through some deep dives with some people recently, and I'm like, I realize that my passion at this point is making sure that is educating people about the real estate market. I mean, I don't know that I always find the conversations fascinating. I think some of my friends and family are a little bit over it. But that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. They know where to they know where to get the answers when the question comes.
Yeah. Well, it's just good to have a education on these things, and I've had several instances where people use a combination of both. Like they use a margin loan for a down payment, and they still got a loan also. So it just depends on what's best for your situation, but it's important to know about that. Those two tools, recasting and margin, can really save a lot of headache.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. That is fantastic. Well, okay, so real quick, just tell I hate to use the word I'm getting ready to use, but I was gonna say like prediction wise, like what do we think the rest of the year looks like? I know I didn't tell you I was gonna ask you this question, but
What do you think the rest of the year looks like?
Because we're
Well,
in the doldrums, right? We are in the lowest, like a fairly low, like this is all right, it's slogging along and everybody's frustrated,
yeah.
but this
Well,
shall pass, and we all
yeah.
we
I love the question. I mean, I own my own mortgage company and we have 50 originators there, so I have a good idea of the market and what's going on. And yes, August has been slow. It's slowed down quite a bit, but if you look at historical trends, I mean, it makes sense. People are going back to school. They don't want to do that, deal with selling or buying or things along those lines. But up until now, we've had a pretty good year. I mean, it hasn't been like a blockbuster year, but it's been pretty good. And, your top agents like you, Leslie, I mean, I talk to them all the time, and there's lots of agents having record years. So
think this is gonna be a record year for me. Yeah.
there you go. So I choose to be very optimistic. I thought rates would be down by this point. They haven't gone down, but and I still believe that they're going to go down. I still believe that there is going to be a really, hopefully, some of these political events we can get settled, and these rates come down. And I really believe that. However, Leslie, let's remember when the rates come down, and I believe they do, that means there's way more buyers in the market.
Right.
Okay. That means prices go up. That means it's harder to get that house you're looking for. So you have to keep that in mind. Plus, we have the property tax thing in Florida that's looming on the vote that's going to happen in November. There's, I mean, you could have a perfect storm of that property tax and rates coming down, and man, that house that you wanted that you've been waiting for comes on the market and there's 10 people in line to buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the give and take of it, you know?
Absolutely. Well, and if you look at our inventory, so year over year, because you know me in a spreadsheet, I love spreadsheets, but year over year, it's been a weird year because our inventory has been like just flat since about the second week in January. We didn't have the usual spring peak. We've stayed steadily busy. Everything's been weirdly steady, but we also have I'm going to say around 22, 23%. I may be a little off on my math, but not enough to matter. 22 or 23% less inventory than we did last year.
That is a wild statistic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That is
sales
wild.
are about the same. So, right. So we're sort of, if interest rates go down, we are going to see prices push up again.
Right, right. Because that'll get the
There's no
people
way
that
not to.
you know, have the 3% mortgages. Say we get into the fives, they're like, okay, well, I could buy my other house for five. I'm okay with that, giving up my three. Then have more houses come on the market. So that is really an interesting point. It's kind of like to your foreclosure. I mean, you look into the actual numbers and you're kind of like, whoa, okay. I don't feel as panicked as the headline says.
Oh, right, because right. That's clickbait. That's what they're designed to do is scare
Yeah,
you, you know? So yeah.
yeah,
Um, I don't know how much time we've got left. But yeah, it's designed to scare you, and it can and it will
yeah,
but
yeah,
I literally spend my time collecting this data in spreadsheets that I own, that I know
yeah.
and I track because I trust my information.
You are a wizard at that. But no, I think
Weird little hobby I have there.
I think to summarize what we said is, you know, read further into the data than the headline. You talked about the foreclosure thing. Yes, factually that's correct, but it's not even close to being a problem. We talked about Recast, what a valuable tool that is, to be able to lower your payment when you pay down the loan. We talked about margin loans and how convenient that is when you have the assets. And then we kind of gave our opinion on what the market is and what we think it's going to go. And I'm very optimistic on where it's going to go. So Florida is a great place to be, and certainly Jacksonville.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I love
Yeah,
anything I get to spend with you. I'm always happy for. So this is amazing.
it was. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.